All right, so today we're going to talk about something that's, well, it's everywhere. It's so fundamental to how we live that we barely even think about it. I'm talking about ownership. It's this invisible architecture that shapes our entire world, and we're about to take a look at the blueprints.
I mean, it seems simple enough, right? You hold it, you use it, it's yours. But, the moment you start to pull at that thread, that simple little word own just completely unravels into this massive invisible system that shapes our economy, our laws, and even how we see ourselves.
Yeah, it's so much more than just, having something in your hand. It's a formal, complex system, a whole set of rules that decides who gets to control things, who gets to profit from them, and who doesn't. So today, we're going to map out that system.
Okay, so let's start at square one, the absolute foundation. Before we can even get into what ownership does, we've got to be super clear on what it actually is.
So here's the key idea to get your head around. Private property isn't the thing itself. It's the legal institution that draws a big, clear line in the sand between owners and non-owners. It's the official rulebook that says who gets to use an asset, who gets the income from it, and who gets the profits when it goes up in value.
And what makes that rulebook real? How is it enforced? Well, it comes down to documents like a title deed. This is what makes your claim official. It takes an abstract idea, your right to something, and makes it a concrete fact, one that's backed by the government and can be defended in a court of law.
But you got to ask why? Why do we even have this system in the first place? Well, philosophers have been arguing about this for centuries. One idea, the labor theory, is pretty simple. If you make it or work on it, you should own it. Then there's utilitarianism, which argues that private ownership is just the most practical and efficient way to run a society, because it gives people a reason to innovate and take care of their stuff.
Okay, so if ownership is this legal status, what do you actually get? What powers does it give you? The best way to think about it is like a bundle of different rights. Think of it as an owner's personal toolkit for controlling what they own. So let's crack open that toolkit and see what's inside.
Inside this kit, you're going to find 4 main tools, 4 core rights. You have the right to use your property. Crucially, you have the right to exclude other people from it. You get to hold on to it for as long as you want. And finally, you have the right to dispose of it. That means you can sell it, give it away, or even destroy it if you want.
Now, of all those tools, that right to exclude, that is by far the most powerful one in the whole kit. Why? Because when you put up a legal wall around something and say, this is mine and no one else can touch it, you create scarcity. And as you know, in a market economy, scarcity is what gives something its value.
And this all connects to a much bigger idea, right? This bundle of rights isn't just about money or economics. For a lot of people, it's a pillar of personal freedom. The thinking goes, if you can control your own property, you can control your own life. It's fundamental to your ability to make your own choices.
All right, so we've got the legal foundation, we've looked inside the owner's toolkit. Now let's see how all these pieces fit together to become the engine that drives a capitalist economy.
This is the playbook for how ownership generates wealth. It's a cycle. It starts with acquisition, getting legal control of something. Then comes production, using that asset to create some kind of value. The profits from that get reinvested for accumulation, buying up even more assets. And the whole point of this cycle, it's all about the yield.
And that yield, that's the prize. That's the whole point, really. It's the stream of income, the rent, the profits, the dividends, that just keeps flowing to the owner, simply because they own the asset. This is the absolute core mechanism for building wealth in this kind of system.
And in today's world of finance, this whole thing gets taken to another level. It gets way more abstract. So take something solid, like an office building. Through this process called quantification, its value can be precisely measured, and then its ownership can be sliced up into thousands or even millions of tiny pieces, like shares of stock. Suddenly, that brick-and-mortar building is as liquid, as easy to trade as a barrel of oil.
But here's the thing. An owner's power isn't limitless. It's not a free-for-all. Society always draws lines and sets boundaries, creating this constant balancing act between the rights of an individual and the needs of the community.
And zoning is a perfect everyday example of this balancing act. Sure, you have the right to use your land however you want, but the community, through zoning laws, can tell you that you can't build a factory in the middle of a residential neighborhood. You see that constant push and pull, right? Between what one person wants to do and what the community as a whole has decided is best. Now, for any of this to work, for people to actually invest their money for the long haul. The whole system needs to feel stable and predictable. That's why capitalist societies have really strong protections for owners, like making sure the government can't just take your property without paying for it, and having a reliable legal system to enforce contracts. Without these guarantees, who would take the risk?
Now, of course, not everyone agrees this is the best system. There's a really old, really powerful critique that asks a fundamental question. Is it fair to earn money from mere possession, just by owning something, like a landlord collecting rent, as opposed to earning it through your own productive labor? It's a debate that gets to the very heart of where value comes from.
So when you put it all together, what do we got? What is ownership, really? Well, it's a legal foundation that says who's in control. It's a bundle of rights that gives owners real power. It's an economic engine built to generate wealth. And it's always being shaped and constrained by a set of societal boundaries. And that, of course, brings us to right now and to the future. In a world of digital assets, NFTs, AI-generated art, and even virtual land in the metaverse, this whole centuries-old system is being pushed and pulled and totally redefined. So it leaves us with this huge question. In a world that's becoming more and more digital, what is ownership even going to mean next?